Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a complete beginner's guide for Terra Randoma, shall we? So this guide is happening at the beginning of September in 2024. Now, I mention that because Terra Randoma is a game that receives constant updates. However, I've been playing this game for years, and even though it receives lots of support from the developer and is updated frequently, there haven't been such major changes that I don't still understand how to play the game, so I feel confident doing a guide such that this will explain the basics, and if some of the nuances systems do evolve with added content and updates, I might add a guide later down the road, but I think this will serve well even if new updates happen. So, Terra Randoma is a classic roguelike game, but it's got some unique twists to it that I want to explain in this guide. So what we're going to do is fire up a brand new game, and I'm going to talk about the UI, the controls, how to play, how to level up. I'm not going to spoil the game though. I'm not going to tell you how to min-max, the exact fastest route to go, or anything like that, but instead I'm just going to make a new character, explain what I understand about the game and what I've learned through others, either streaming or in the YouTube comments, and then talk about my thought process so you can see, number one, is this the kind of game that you might be interested in playing? And number two, if you've purchased this or had purchased it a while ago and want to know how to play, you can learn the basics to surviving as a new player. So we're going to start a brand new game. So when you start a new game, you are greeted with this screen, and we're going to type our name at the top. I'm just going to call this guy Tutorial Man. And you'll see the backgrounds over here in the left column, and this is kind of your starting class. Think about it that way. So, you could be a thief, you can be a hunter, you could be a spellcaster, an alchemist, somebody who's interested in learning the lore of the area. And your starting background gives you a distribution of stats. There are 3 stats in Terra Randoma: strength, dexterity, intelligence. We'll talk about them in a moment. You begin with the starting skills that are listed there: arms mastery, athletics, bravery, one-handed weapons, and light armor, for example, as a gladiator. And you get 2 talent stones: stunning strike and whirlwind attack, which you see at the bottom of the screen. These are kind of like your skills that are your special abilities. They go on cooldown, these level up, and this gives you a starting package. Now, once you begin Terra Randoma, you can actually deviate from your starting background pretty wildly, kind of like Elden Ring in that sense, where like you could get different talent stones and you could go in a different direction. You could put your stats in a certain area, and you have a lot of wiggle room, but these backgrounds still are very important and will govern dramatically the way that you play, even though there is nuance after you pick. So if you start as a gladiator, you're not going to become an arcanist. This makes sense, right? So this means choose something that represents the playstyle that you want to do through your run, and you can kind of go more hybrid or in a different direction, but it's hard to like wholesale reverse a start. And then on the right, you choose your star sign, which is just your, astrological star sign, which gives you a passive set of bonuses and items to begin the game. So I think for a new player, I really, really recommend something that is able to stand in for a long time. And I'm going to go with a gladiator. The Highlander, you could see in my Let's Play. I'll link those in the description below. This guy is really awesome. Two-handed weapon. You smack people. But we'll go with a gladiator to kind of like very balanced. We have a little bit of quickness. We have one-handed weapons. We have light armor. And this is a kind of like, more nimble approach to a fighter character. But if you wanted to go Highlander as your first choice, that's great. Or if you were like, what I want to do, I want to go, as a pure-on spellcaster or a druid, or I want to be an alchemist and make potions and throw bombs at people, or I want to be an archaeologist or a lore master and study the region. all of those are there. And I'm going to go ahead and just say, okay, we'll be a gladiator. We'll start with Stunning Strike and Whirlwind Attack. Both of these are amazing for melee. And we'll look at those more closely in a moment. And then, once we've chosen our background, you see the stats we get, you see our starting skills and our talent stones. Over here on the right, we're going to choose a star sign that's appropriate to being a sword and board melee fighter. So I think we want something like, I don't know, the Minotaur +4 melee attack that just makes us do more damage. Turtle gives us a lot of defense, which is also very nice. The Kraken gives you a big boost of stamina, which is huge. Stamina is super important. Extra hit points, luck, thievery checks, an extra skill point when you start. Speed. I'm just going to go very simply here and give myself a little bit of boost to my melee attack. So we're going to take the Minotaur, which means we get +4 to our melee attack damage, and we start the game with a copper ring of strength. And once we've selected our star sign and our background, we can now go here to the bottom and say continue. And now it's time to design what kind of a game that we want to play on. Do you want to play on a singular landmass, a kind of more moderate map, which has some inlets and lakes and things, archipelago, fragmented, random? I'm just going to go with moderate, that's the default. We're going to go with a normal map, that's also default. We're going to go on normal difficulty, but this is your choice. You can choose the game modes here in the middle. Wayfarer means no penalty on death. You can reload your last save without any consequences. Hero mode says, okay, if you die, you lose 25% gold, 10% reputation, and progression. So there's a death penalty. Or Iron Man, which means your save file is deleted on death, permadeath, which is a traditional roguelike. This is how I play Terra Randoma, just because I like roguelikes. It is probably not recommended if you're a brand new player, unless you want to play it like me as a roguelike. Wayfarer means you're going to get a lot further with your character. Iron Man means it's all over if you make a mistake and you got to reroll. So we're going to go with Iron Man because I like roguelikes and I like the thrill and crushing defeat. So I'm going to say continue. Legend tells a story about an ancient horror that awakens every 10,000 years and devours the world before it sleeps again. Only a handful of people who can read the omens know the time is near, but there is hope. An ancient tablet which shows the nest of this sleeping horror, a tablet divided into 5 pieces and hidden away in 5 different places. 5 lords of the realm, each knows one of the pieces' whereabouts. They don't trust each other and they won't trust you. You have to earn their goodwill and collect all 5 pieces to face this entity before it fully awakens, says the Elder Alchemist, Winter 1599. All right. So this is telling you both the story, the situation, and the victory condition here. And we're going to start up Terra Randoma. As it says, it is procedurally generated, so your world will look different than mine. Welcome to Terra Randoma. This is a turn-based roguelike RPG in a procedurally generated open world full of curiosities and adventure. Take on quests at the taverns for reputation and town prosperity. With more reputation, you'll get more rewarding quests from the lords. As a town's prosperity rises, town facilities will level up and new services will be available. Don't forget to use your talent stones during combat. They grant you special powers. You have 2 of them to start with. They are on your action bar at the bottom. You can buy more talent stones at the Adventurers Guild. Check your journal to see how close you are to discovering the ancient secret that lies beneath this island. While there, don't forget to spend your lore points on a treasure map or 2. Good luck. Okay, so this is giving you, like, these first 2 screens of reading help you tremendously, but they might not all make sense without some context. So we're going to just talk about quests, reputation, prosperity, talent stones, all of these things in white, these key concepts organically as they emerge. And we'll close this up. And here we are. We start on this boat. And this is us. You'll notice if I zoom out using the mouse wheel, this game appears like kind of you're playing a tabletop role-playing game like D&D or something. You have a grid-based map here. You have miniatures that you slide around on the map. And it's a nice little visual presentation. I like it a lot. It's very cartoony. Now, let's take a look. At the top of the screen, you'll see immediately these exclamation points. This is the Pathfinder's Guide. So, exclamation marks show the danger level of each map square. Higher danger increases the chance of ambushes. The other icons show the activities you can take if you camp here. So, for example, we're in the boat, so we can fish if we push the camping button on the bottom of the screen. You can also forage ingredients, hunt, and mine. These are all important, hunting to get food, foraging to get ingredients for potions, fishing, also food, mining for getting materials that you need to level up your weapons, etc., do crafting. So, right now, the threat level is very low. You're going to see in the upper right, it's day 1, the time is here, and this day and night cycles do show and do matter in the game. The gear is your options menu for the game. Now, before we start moving, let's take a look at the bottom center of the screen. You're going to see on our UI, we have a pretty understandable UI presentation with a panel that shows our health, stamina, and satiety over here on the left. So health is the heart. We have 82 hit points. If that goes down to 0, we lose. We've died. 77 stamina, the little walking man in yellow. This is for all actions. It's incredibly important to have stamina for attacking. You get all sorts of negatives if you don't have stamina. So we're going to look at that and how it works in combat. And then here is your food. The green bar is your satiety. If it's full, that means you don't need to eat. And if it goes down to 0, you start starving and losing hit points every turn. It tells you our speed right now is 100% as we're in the boat. Different terrain types will slow you down. Like, so if you're moving through a forest or through the hills or something, then you will move slower. Then, as we're moving through this UI element from the left to the right, you can see how much gold I have. The book is how many lore points you have. If you mouse over this in the upper right, there is a tooltip that explains that you can click here to get more information about lore. We'll talk about that when we actually get some. This is our experience to level up, 0 out of 750. And then we have an action bar here with our abilities, like, for example, Stunning Strike, which is our talent stone. Talent stones, as it explained before, are your skills, your abilities, special powers, and you could see on the tooltip in the upper right that Stunning Strike, it's worth 2,000 money. It gives you a sense of how valuable it is. Now, it's worth mentioning, you don't really get that price from vendors. They fluctuate. They always will undercut you to make a profit. Your relationship to the town, the type of goods the town wants, other factors determine how much money you'll actually get, but it gives you a rough estimate of how good that is. Then below the 2,000, there's a little weight icon. This is 0.1, weight units, pounds, I'll call it, because I'm American, but we'll look at weight in a moment. Then you could see the talent stone itself just has that kind of a book with an icon to represent it, but then running vertically next to the talent stone are some rectangular boxes, the bottom of which is yellow, and that represents the level that this talent stone is. So using it will give it experience, which will raise its level, which then makes it more powerful, but also cost more stamina. So it just gets more efficient and powerful as you level it up. So currently, Stunning Strike is rank 1 of 5. It has 0 out of 10 experience. It costs 20 stamina to use, and it has a 16-turn cooldown. It does 100% of your melee damage, so it does regular damage, and it stuns the enemy for 3 to 6 turns, which is insanely powerful. It's one of the reasons I chose this background, because stunning someone so that they can't hit you back is amazing. Now, if the enemy is immune to stun, you are out of luck, but most enemies can be stunned. Then we have, to the right of this, we have Whirlwind Attack, which does AoE damage to all adjacent enemies. So we spend 20 stamina, and we hit every enemy that's adjacent to us. This is fantastic if we get swarmed. So we have a way to deal with, getting mobbed by enemies. And we also have a nice ability for when we're single targeting, just stunning and locking down an enemy. You can always right-click on a talent stone to get an even bigger breakdown of what's going on here. It gives you a preview of what will happen when you rank up the talent stone and some other important information about this ability. You can use Whirlwind Strike, or attack rather, in combination with other talents to hit multiple enemies. So for example, if you activate Stunning Strike, then Whirlwind Attack, all enemies will get stunned. This is an insane combo that we're going to leverage because I'm going to show you, if I right click on Stunning Strike, it says if you use this, basically the next attack will stun someone. So you use Stunning Strike and then your next attack will actually hit them. So the next attack would be Whirlwind Attack in that sequence. So we'll look at that. But it's important to note that a lot of abilities will like set something, and then when you actually fire your bow or you hit them with your weapon, then it procs the talent stone that you've got equipped. Now I have spaces for more talent stones to equip, and then moving over here to the right, I can sprint. Do not sleep on sprinting. 200% movement speed for 3 turns at a cost of 15 stamina. This means that you can run away from a dire situation, which is incredibly important in a roguelike with its permadeath. It does say that the stamina cost increases with your load, so be mindful of the scaling cost there, and then you can use this hourglass button to wait a turn or push spacebar, which we'll use. We have 25 out of 100 arrows, so if we can shoot basically our bow 25 times, and you can buy more arrows or find more arrows to fill this up. You always want to have arrows. If you can shoot at range, it's incredibly useful. And then we have 10 out of 100 lockpicks for opening locked chests. If you, basically when you open a locked chest or something that you need a lockpick for, you roll, it tells you what percentage chance you have of actually getting it. And if you are successful, you open it, and if not, the lockpick breaks and you have to try again. And if you run out of lockpicks, you can't open it. Then we're going to see some buttons here. Backpack, which if I click this and open it, takes us to our backpack. Now you can get to this by pushing B on the keyboard as well. This has an incredible assortment of very, very valuable information. You'll be on this screen all the time. First of all, let's just say it shows your stats, and if you mouse over them, you will see what they actually do for your character. So strength affects health, stamina, melee damage, melee attack, max food, max load, stamina regeneration. Dexterity is for critting, gives you defense, melee attack with one-handed weapons, ranged attack, how fast you are, and intelligence governs these abilities as well. You can also see at the bottom it says like strength increases, works with athletics and intimidation skill checks, dexterity works with thievery skill checks, and intelligence works with speechcraft and wilderness survival skill checks that come up in various instances during the game that we will see. Then you could see like how much damage you approximately do in melee, and there's a great breakdown. Generally in Terra Randoma, if you mouse over things, you get a full explanation. So right now we're doing 1 to 6 damage at range, and we have a 14 chance to hit versus our 22 chance to hit, which is amazing with our melee, so we're better there. This is our crit damage. This represents our crit chance, which is 5%, and then this is how much damage we do if we crit with a ranged or melee attack. Then you're going to see our speed. Searching is affected by intelligence and thievery, so this character is probably not going to be that great at it. Luck governs all rolls, can be improved with bravery, and then this is what we were talking about. This is your carrying capacity. This is the weight units. This is going to be something that's very important, and you never want to be over your load because you'll move more slowly. Your speed, stamina regeneration decrease as you get heavier, so we want to stay as light as possible. And then you can see right here, here's our health, here's our stamina, here's how much we regenerate every turn, here is our food and how much we need to survive each day. Now, these things fluctuate. The rate of stamina regeneration and the rate of food consumption will change depending on how heavy our gear is, the items we have equipped, buffs and debuffs, etc. Up in the upper right, you'll see our resistances to the elements, to mind attacks, nature attacks. This is our overall defense, which affects our ability to avoid an attack, okay? So some games, like defense, just mitigates incoming damage. This is about avoiding an attack altogether. Then you're going to see down here our paper doll. Now, we look like a boat because you can't see our character, but this is all of our stuff. And here, to the left of our paper doll, and all the slots we can equip items is our backpack. Now, you see right away we have this copper ring of strength that we started with. I'm just going to pick this up, and I'm going to put it on our ring slot. This gives us 2 stamina and 1 strength. And that's important because, actually, you can see our stats dynamically change with equipping this. So if I equip this, you'll see my load goes up by 4, my stamina regeneration rate goes up by 0.05, and there are some other changes here. For example, that we actually consume more food per day, okay, wearing this item. So just things to kind of pay attention to as all of this happens. You can click sort items in the bottom left to kind of put your items in a nice semblance of order. Here we have 2 healing potions to start with, 2 stamina potions. They each restore 50 health and stamina respectively. At any time, you can open up the inventory by pushing B and right-click on a potion to use it in battle. It doesn't take your turn or anything like that. You can just do that, and you will be doing that. We have some food that we can cook to make a meal for us. We have some worms that we can use for fishing, and then we have 9 repair kits to use to repair our broken equipment. On our paper doll, you can see, for example, this chest armor that we have. It gives us 3 defense, it weighs 3 pounds, it's worth 425. It has a durability of 50 out of 50, and that durability is represented by the green bar beneath it. As that drops, we can use repair kits to fix it. If an item goes to 0 durability, it gets broken and gives you no benefit. So make sure you have repair kits to fix your gear, or you can go to town to have your stuff repaired, but it's really expensive to do that. And this is also worth mentioning, something I didn't notice at first, but when they expanded some stuff in the game, they added more inventory tabs. So you have like a tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. This means you can carry a ton of stuff, but you really should not, because you want to keep your load low. I made the mistake of just filling all this up, and I was constantly encumbered. We'll talk about getting a stash. We'll talk about what you want to keep and what you want to sell, but generally try to keep that load down. Okay, so that explains the backpack. You could go to your character screen. Here, let me just... There we go. Go to the character screen, and you'll notice that on the character screen that you can get to by pushing C or clicking on this character button. The top portion of this is the same as the backpack, but the bottom is your skills, and these are the skills that you start with. Every level you get 2 skill points that you can use to raise these skills, and we started with 3 athletics because of our background, and you can mouse over any of these to see what these skills do. So for example, one-handed weapons, every point gives us a plus 1.5 melee attack and 5% crit damage with one-handed weapons. And then as you get to certain thresholds, level 5 for example, you become competent at that skill and you get another bonus, and then you get all the bonuses moving left to right. So these are the different skills that you can get. The map, if you click M on the keyboard or click on the map button, you can see an overworld view of the map. Here is us down in the bottom center on our boat. You could start to see the different towns in the game. The towns are all marked by a star rating and a coin rating. And the star rating is like your relationship to the town, and the coin rating is the town's prosperity level. Then there are some other locations that we know: the old lighthouse, the ancient library, the alchemist tower, the adventurer's guild, where you can buy new talent stones, for example, and the Artisan's Keep, where you can go sell gems and stuff. So just kind of go here at any point to see your quests, locations, and the towns. And then you have an alchemy and cooking screen that you can go to. Here, you can either make potions or food. Now, everyone can make the potions and food that's at level 0. I don't have the ingredients to make anything potion-wise, but I do have... We started with redfish and lemon to make this grilled redfish. And you can see that if we make this, it'll give us a dish that gives us 130 food. We have 195 at the moment. Heals 15 health, gives us steady feet plus 4. I'm sorry, let me read this again. Steady feet, which is a buff that gives us plus 4 defense for 3 days for, like, eating the meal. And we're going to go ahead and left-click on this once and then twice to just make this food. There's no reason not to. Things do not spoil at this point in the game, so just make it so you have this meal. You see that each time I made that, we got 10 experience. So now we have 20 out of 750 experience, and we have a really good meal that we can eat if we need it. We're not going to right now, but I just wanted to show you how to cook. Then we're going to go to the camp screen. Here. And this takes you to this screen that says what you can do on the square if you decide to camp. You can rest. You can search for resources. You can build a base. Now, we can't do options 1 and 3 because we're not on solid ground. But we could search for resources, a.k.a. try to fish, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave camp. And then finally, you have your journal right here. The journal tells you the star rating or the reputation or the relationship, as I called it. It's reputation, that's the right word, with all the towns, the overview of your fame, and just stats on your character and your progress through the game. Okay? So that's a lot of explanation, but now you should have a pretty good feel for the UI and what the different panels do. Now it's time to move our character. I'm going to use the numpad to move, and you can also just move by clicking with the mouse if you want. And I'm going to just take our boat and land right here at Raincroft. And immediately we go into Raincroft, or we try to. And this is a very important part of the game as it stands in Terra Randoma, which we want to go into this town and try to get quests, talk to people, but we can't because they have a bandit invasion. So if there's something going on at the town, there will be an icon above it, and you will also see it right here on these tabs to the right of the town description. So you could see this settlement has 15% prosperity. We have a 10% reputation here, and they have a bandit invasion going on for 10 days. This means that if we want to get into town, we have to give 100 gold, or we could try to sneak past the bandit, intimidate them, pickpocket them, or fight them. So there are some interesting choices here, and in my experience in Terra Randoma, I always try these options just to see what happens, because doing so does not preclude you from doing the other options. So first of all, let's just try to pick their pocket. And we were successful. We had a 54% chance to do that. You see that we got 45 coins and 25 experience for just taking this guy's money. So that's awesome. At any time, we could just leave and just not deal with this. Or we could try to sneak past them, and we made it. So we got to go into town. Now, I was actually prepared to fight them, but we rolled well, and that's kind of an advantage with this character because we have a nice bit of dexterity to get a reasonable roll on those. So we're going to go into the town square right now. So now, once you enter a town, and your first town probably won't have an event, but that's what's going on. And by the way, it's worth mentioning, that bandit invasion is happening for 10 days, so anytime I try to come back into Raincroft, I'm going to have to deal with those guys. I have not permanently snuck by them. That was a one-time deal. So, it tells you, because of the bandit invasion, there are only a few goods available at the shops, and they're 50% more expensive than regular prices. So this is terrible. In general, when you're playing permadeath, and you're not building up a character forever, well, you're trying to, but resources are more scarce than when you can save in Wayfarer mode, for example. I barely buy things from the shops in terms of equipment because it's just too expensive. I try to buy food, and I try to buy potions, arrows, and lockpicks. If I can afford a gear piece, Okay, great, but usually I do not have the money to do that. So we're going to go into the tavern right away. And in every tavern, there's going to be a patron who gives you a quest. Let's talk to the patron. And this lady here, Kyla, the bothered wine taster. There's always like random names for people. It's hilarious. She says, "Greetings, traveler. You seem like a capable person. I need help on one matter." And we can say, "Oh, what's the job?" Now, you could try to pick their pocket as well. That's up to you. I'm not going to. And I'm going to say, "What's the job?" And she says, "My summer house has been infested by ghosts. I need a hero to clean the infestation. The loot you find there will be yours, and I'll pay you as much as you can." So you can agree by just saying, "All right, I'll help you." Or you can inquire further and say, "What will be my prize?" And she says, "I'll give you 310 gold, 15 rep in this town." And doing quests for people in a town boosts its prosperity. Prosperity of a town affects what items it can sell you, and generally like how wealthy everybody is and what kind of luxury items they might want to buy from you. So it's in your best interest to raise both your reputation and the prosperity of the settlements when you can. So doing quests is always good. You can say, "Hey, can you give me more money than just this?" And she says, "Fine, I'll give you 372. There's no penalty if you fail. If you fail, she says, "Sorry, noble hero, I can't do that," or something like that. And there's no penalty. So just do it. Just try it. And we go up, and then we could say, "All right, I'll help you." Now, you don't have to. Ghosts are kind of hard. If you don't want to do the quest, just bail. Just say, "Nope, no can do." And there is no penalty. You can accept 5 quests at a time in Terra Randoma. So you could take this quest, and there is no time limit on this quest, and just do it later if it's too hard. Or you could even abandon a quest, but it gives you a reputation hit in all towns, because everybody's like, "Oh, you back out of deals, or you're a coward," or whatever. But it's not huge if you absolutely don't want to do it. I'm going to say that's fine. And now we have a quest, and you can see in the upper right there's a big Q right there. That's our quest. She will mark the location on our map, and we say, "See you soon." So I can actually push M and go to the map, and you see over here is her house. Kyla's house is labeled. That's where the quest wants us to go. And also, I didn't explain this before, but it's worth mentioning now. You will see that there is a key for the map on the left on the column, and it tells you what all the icons mean. So the cross swords means bandit invasion on Raincroft. The ghost means that Limberton up here is haunted. Now, generally, these are temporary things. And they just randomly emerge and fade away over time. This does not have an indication on the key because it's pretty obvious, but let me explain. Every quest or a location has a rating of difficulty, and they go from 1 to 4 skulls right here. 1 is the easiest. So this is definitely something we could do because it's only a 1. So we could really think about doing this. And that's great. I'm just going to push escape to close the map. I'm going to go to the general shop, and Clorinda, the fearless blacksmith, says, "I've got limited stuff, so everything's more expensive." But it also tells you that your reputation and speechcraft give you 5% better prices. So, not great, but not the end of the world. I'm going to go to food. So I could buy this food, but it's really expensive. I'm not actually going to buy anything here, but I do want to show you, if you mouse over the food, it'll tell you if you know a recipe with this food item. So, for example, this lettuce, I can make a green salad with it, or this, I can make a grilled rabbit steak with it. The lemon, we already made a recipe with that, and I don't have a high enough cooking skill to know how to use the tomato or the onion yet. So you could buy something you can make, or you could go to cooking and then see, like, okay, well, what's the green salad take? You need lettuce and a cucumber. Or the grilled rabbit steak, we'd need some butter to go with that. So there's nothing in this game, at least so far, that you can make with just 1 ingredient. So be mindful of that. And then she's selling potions. Now, I generally buy any healing potion I can get, and then also stamina potions if they're reasonable. Nothing is reasonable right now because everything's too expensive because of the bandit invasion. So I won't buy anything, but I could sell her stuff. I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to go back to the tavern, I'm going to go to the Tavern Keeper. And this is where you can come to eat. So for 58 coins, you can fill up your hunger bar. And that means like wherever you are. If you're at 0, it goes all the way up. And you can also rest for 8 hours, which will regenerate your health. But you get hungry as time passes. So the ordering you usually want to do is rest and then buy a meal. So you leave fully topped off on both health and food, and your stamina will be topped off as well. So we're not going to do that, but we did get a quest. The next thing we can do is talk to the town's lord here at the bottom. And Lord Mordred the Amusing is like, hey, I want you to do a quest for me, but you don't have a good enough reputation. So we need to do enough quests in the town to get 25% reputation to impress this dude so that he can give us a quest. So we say, okay, fine, we'll come back later. And we will leave. Now there's another town up here, which I'm going to go to, Siren Free. And I'm walking. You'll see that as I'm walking, as you know, the time is passing. It's later in the evening. It's getting more dangerous. I could forage or fish here because it's coastal. And we can go up here. We can go up here. And let's go into Siren Free. So Siren Free has no problems. There's no event plaguing this town. And it's got 40% prosperity, so it's doing better than the previous town. I'm going to go ahead and go into the tavern and talk to their quest. And they say, you seem like a capable person. I need help on the matter. And we say, okay, the Furious Butler, Vizimar, what's the job? And he says, my cousin Freya has been kidnapped by Cornelius the Chosen One. She's imprisoned in the chasm of the Clockwork Knight. I need you to save her. Okay, this is very common. People get kidnapped all the time in this game for some reason. It's terrible. Now, this is a good thing to note early game. If you see a reward like this, it's way higher than the previous reward. This means it's probably going to be a harder dungeon. I'm going to ask for more money, and he says, fine, I'll give you 908. I will agree to do this, but I might have to come back to it. I will say, see you soon. Another option that you have in this tavern that we didn't have before is the Tavern Brawler. So this guy is like just a ruffian that everybody hates, and he's looking for a fight. You can give him a fight. You can try to steal from him. So first of all, we'll try to steal. Oops. And it didn't work. So remember how I didn't pickpocket before? Well, this is why. We just lost 2 reputation for failing because we're trying to steal from him in the town. Now, I don't think stealing from the bandits that are invading the town gives you a reputation hit, but stealing in town is not smiled upon, even if it is the town jerk. So we lost some rep. But I'm going to go back to him. And I'm going to say, shut up and live. And he says, you can't intimidate me. And I say, oh yeah? Well, you know what I can do? I can fight you. So I'm going to fight this dude. So you get into, right here, our first combat. You don't have to do this. But if there is a brawler, I like fighting them because, first of all, it's funny. You get to fight in this little, tavern module here, and it reminds you of doing a D&D campaign where you set down the miniatures and you've got the little tavern all set up and you move your figures around. It's cool. So I'm going to walk over here, and these are the enemies up here. There is a bandit here and there is a bandit here, and if you mouse over them, you get the tooltip in the upper right. This bandit is human. They're worth 55 experience. They have 15 hit points. Tells you their speed. My chance to hit with my bow. Now, wait a minute. Bow? I'm going to push B, and show you, yes. Remember, we have 25 arrows. We do start with a short bow with this build. It has a range of 5, and it does 4 damage. So we're going to be shooting this as soon as they're within our range. The mouse changes to the X, you can see, with the bullseye over it because they're too far out of range. This guy has a trait of being a coward, 80% chance to run away with low hit points, and they're both the same. So what I want to do is kind of move into a situation to the right to try to fight one at a time if possible. They can't move through these chairs, so I'm just going to kind of wait, and now you could see this guy is within our range. The icon here, it's an X, here it's a bow. So we have if you look at the upper right, it'll tell you have a 46% chance to hit. So I'm going to shoot this guy. I hit him. I'm going to shoot this guy. I missed. I hit him for 4. In Terra Randoma, I'm going to zoom in with the mouse wheel. You really have to look at the character, look over your character's head and over them to see, okay, the miss displays on you and how much damage you're dealing. So the damage, if we deal it to them, it's in red, and I believe if we take damage, personally, it is in white. So, let me flip that. Damage we deal to them is in white, damage we take is in red, is I believe how it works. So this guy has 8 hit points left, you can see in the upper right. And now, because he's so close, the icon has changed from a bow to a sword, meaning I'm going to try to hit him with my melee weapon, which is actually better for us. I'm not going to use a talent stone because I want this guy to get up close, and I will stun Whirlwind both of them if I can. I can't really stun this guy and then stun this incoming guy because the cooldown is 16 turns, so we have to wait. So I'm just going to hit this guy with my sword. You can see how over his head in red it said miss. He missed me. I hit him. He's down to 6. He missed me again. He's almost dead. Now, I'm going to use the combo. We're going to push 1 on the number keys, and that uses the talent stone in slot 1. You can also just left click on this. And it says in the top center of the screen, your next melee attack will stun the enemy. Remember how I was telling you how some of these work? This one does not attack for you. It just loads this up, and then you get to choose where you stun. But in this case, we're going to just push 2. We swing at everything around us. You can see we hit both guys for 4. We killed this bandit, and then this bandit is now stunned. So we had hit him with a bow once for 1 damage earlier. Now he's at 10. And this dude is stunned. And I'm just going to go ahead and left click. Now, I'm going to zoom in. You see my arrows? I'm down to 18 arrows because I fired 7 in this fight. This is the cooldown in white numbers on each of my talent stones. So I can't use them until that is up. I have 42 stamina left. Every turn, stamina is going down depending on your regeneration. Right now, though, if I hit this guy, you can see that I actually attack and then regenerate stamina evenly, so I'm not losing stamina unless I'm using my big abilities, which take a bunch of stamina. And we're missing each other. We're embarrassing ourselves. We did get hit for 1 damage right there, but that's nothing. And this guy's dead. And now they're all dead, and we win. So you can see we got 55 experience for each. We're up to 180 out of 750 experience. I'm just going to walk up here with a big smile on my face, just celebrating our victory. And this arrow indicates moving on from the little map module that you're on. So whenever you see this, this means this is how you leave. So you just walk up here, and then it says exit the battlefield. You manage to save the tavern and will gain 5 reputation and the gratitude of the people. You will also give the town 5 prosperity. So this is why I always do tavern brawlers. They're generally easy fights. They're just these like inflated windbags that just, drunks that need thrashed, and you beat them up. And that 2 rep that we lost, we've easily regained that, and we gave the town prosperity. You can stay if you want to loot the bodies, but there was nothing to loot, and you could say I have more business here, or you go down here at the bottom and you say leave, and you come back into the town. And now you could see we have 13 rep, and the prosperity went from 40 to 45, so how about that? This town also has a blacksmith, and you could come into the blacksmith to repair your equipment. She will repair all of our items currently for 47 gold. Generally, it's too expensive to do this, and I like to use repair kits because you can find these in the field. We don't really need to repair, but it's worth mentioning this is how you fix your stuff. There is also a shop, and in this shop, we can check out the prices. Not every shop is the same. The prosperity, I believe, and I could be wrong, if you know the answer to this, correct me. It could just be random. But I believe the more prosperous the settlement is, let me push escape and go back. You see how this general shop has 2 out of 4 pips? I believe that corresponds to the prosperity, and that determines what's available. So the tavern's more prosperous. Maybe that's why the buffoon was there. the ruffian. And then the general shop is more prosperous, and so instead of just food and potions, they also sell weapons and tools. I think that's how it works, but it could also just be random. So if you are an expert, please clarify that. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So in the food, let's go here, and we could buy this and make, for example, a salad. Not a bad idea. We could buy a lemon and then catch a fish and have a fish to eat. You definitely need to have food because you're going to get really, really hungry in this game when you're away from town. The way I like to play Terra Randoma is I like to eat at town if possible, because it's cheaper. And then you cook stuff when you're out in the field and you eat it there because you want these buffs to make your character stronger. I like to save these for hard quests and things. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a lemon and try to fish. And then I am going to buy lettuce and a cucumber. The reason I'm doing that is because if I go right here into cooking and I cook this, I just get 10 experience. So it's kind of a way to get a good meal that gives you a lot of food that you can use on the go, and it gives you experience. So it's a nice little money sink to raise. It's not a lot of experience, granted, but it's some. Okay, so now we have a second quest. Now, if you go over here and you click on these quests, like this one right here, for example, this is the one that we just got, and it's the Chasm of the Clockwork Knight. So we can close this and push M to go to the map, and indeed, you could see right up here to the north is the Chasm of the Clockwork Knight, and it's 2 skulls out of 4. I knew it was going to be a harder quest because the harder the quest, the more rewards. So we could go over here to Kyla's house and just try to do this quest, but here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to move over here to this section of the map, to the Adventurers Guild, Woodstone, Alchemist Tower. Going to the library is not a bad idea, too. The Adventurers Guild, the Ancient Library, the Alchemist Tower, these places also have quests. They're different from towns. They generally feed you for cheaper, provide lodging for cheaper, and also they have these quests where, like, if you get prosperity with them, you get rewards that you unlock at levels of prosperity that are pretty nice. So let's go to the Adventurers Guild and check that out. Now, as I'm walking, it is the night, so it's kind of dangerous. I'm going to step into the forest. Immediately in the forest, you see how it's more dangerous, but I can both forage and hunt here. And you can see that my speed has gone down to 50% because, this forest tile is slow going. I'm going to then walk over here, and it's even slower on this terrain. So it's also more dangerous. I'm going to walk, and I'm going to go over, and then boom, we pop out of this area. So in these mountains, in these kind of like dirt-covered areas near the mountains and the foothills, this is where you can mine to get metals. Forest is hunting and foraging. Let's move over here. And boom. Out on the grass, we can move faster, less dangerous, and we can also forage. Now, all of that being said, very often in Terra Randoma, you get a situation like this. Bum, bum, bum. We've been ambushed by cultists. So, Clawick, the enraged vandal, says, "Beware, mortal, the forgotten god is coming. Donate 100 gold for our cause, or your existence will be an uncertainty." That doesn't sound ideal. However, we're not afraid of her with this build, with this character. We have some options. Number one, I'm going to try to steal. It didn't work. What a brave hero you are. You can't steal anything from me. I love how she thinks that it's not a brave idea to try to steal from somebody who's an enraged cultist. It was brave. Then, I'm going to try to say, get lost. It didn't work. You can give them money, and they will run. So this is... Don't forget about this. I never do this unless I'm about to die. And I'm like, look, I can't survive a fight with you. Just take it. So I'm not going to negotiate a cheaper price. I'm just going to fight them. And now we teleport into this little teeny map, just like before in the tavern, except we're outside. And we have up here, you can push M to get an overview of the map. when you're in this screen. You can't move or play from this screen, but it helps you see the whole board. So there's a coral crawler and there's the cult initiate. The coral crawler is actually a little bit more dangerous, and there is a water well that will heal us, and there's a 25% chance that a monster comes out, and then there's also this altar that's like a treasure chest, basically. Loot everything. So that's what we're fighting. And we want to make it so we only fight one at a time, if possible. So I'm going to just start walking this way. They cannot cross the water. They're going to try to come across this bridge. So I'm going to kind of just step here. And now, I'm just going to push spacebar. Oh, you know what? I lied. Okay, so this person can't cross the water, but the coral crawler can. So they're coming. I'm just going to start shooting them. And even though the coral crawler is dangerous, we've got a couple of good hits in there, and I'm going to swing. I need to buy arrows. So the next town, or the Adventurers Guild, I'm going to buy some more arrows. Arrows are just so nice, you don't want to run out of them. It's usually what I spend my money on early game, that and lockpicks. I'm going to attack here, we hit, and attack here. Now they're both around us, so we can do our combo. Push 1, push 2, bam. 80 experience, we killed that guy, and this one is stunned right here. So we're just going to hit him. Oh, nice hit. They hit us, but no big deal. And boom, we blew them up. And they dropped a little treasure this time. So move over the loot bag. You could see they dropped this mutton and this deer leg. We're going to take both of these. You can eat this if you're starving. Like, this deer leg will give you 100 food and heal 4 health. But it has a 20% chance of getting you a tapeworm. You do not want... I mean, who wants a tapeworm, right? It's a negative effect. It's bad. So only do this in emergency if you're starving. I'm going to take everything. Now, I'm going to click up here. You can, by the way, just kind of like... you can move in an interesting way by holding left and just kind of sliding your piece around. I do not need to risk having a monster come out of this well. Instead, I'm just going to go to the altar. And, ooh, whoa, we got some good stuff here. There is a strength +2 ring, there's a book, and there's a dex +1. I'm going to loot it all. I'm going to open our bag. We do not currently have an amulet, so we're going to equip this to boost our dexterity. And then we're going to wear this ring right here. It is going to make us, you know, eat more per day to be stronger, but boy, look at this. We increase our load, you know, you know what? I'm not understanding this. It says that strength improves your food, but when I raise my strength, the minus goes up. So I'm not quite sure why that is. It might be that I just don't understand what this means. But my strength is higher. I can carry more. I get more stamina per turn. Maybe it's just... I really can't tell why. But our health goes up. Our max food that we can eat goes up. Our load goes up. And we actually do an extra point of damage with that ring. So that's amazing. Now, this book we got here, called the Agile Dolphin, we can right-click this to read the book and gain lore. It will take 6 hours, but you can see we get 33 lore by doing that. And lore we can spend on maps and treasure and stuff. I always read these, and then we'll go to the library to sell the book for a better price. And we'll just walk over here, and we will leave. And you can see here we are on the map. And we're getting close to Woodstone. Now, Woodstone has a good harvest, so that means food should... I think it's more plentiful or cheaper. We definitely want to go take advantage of that. We want to go to the Alchemist Tower, and we want to go to the Adventurers Guild. And we will get into that in the next episode. Everyone, this is going to be a beginner's guide series, because there's a lot to talk about in Terra Randoma, and I want to take the time to thoroughly cover everything for you and play along with this character so you can see more game content and more concepts. I hope you have enjoyed this and found this to be useful and fun. This really is a fantastic game once you get into it. There are a few nuances that we're trying to understand and work through, but this is a very, very strong starting build. As you can see, we've won our first 2 combats very decisively, and we've got a couple of quests. We're doing well. I want to say thank you everyone so much for watching. If you have any questions about the game, please put those in the comments below. I'd love to help you out. And I will check you guys in the next episode of this series. Take care.